there's a substitute. Julie decided to just briefly talk for us. So anyway, Ludwig Furtner will be making the presentation, but I just wanted to say a couple things. I wanted to let you guys know that I'm really, really excited to be here today to talk about this subject. As Ludwig says, Sebastopol Entrepreneurs Project is the best kept secret in West County. And so we don't want it to be the best kept secret anymore. We want to share it with you guys. And just a little bit of history. I know most of you know Beth Moyes. And Beth, about a year and a half ago, was the president of the board of SET. And when she moved on, Ludwig took over. I started there as a volunteer in January of 2014. And then in July, became the executive director part-time. So Ludwig's going to talk about the things that we've accomplished over the past few years and some of the things that we want to do going forward. I put some information on the table, and if after this presentation any of you are so moved to volunteer, we always need volunteers, and if you want to contribute in any other way, please see myself or Vicki or Dewey. And now here's Ludwig.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for breakfast. This is the second time I've come to a Rotary meeting, the Sunrise Rotary, and it's always very enjoyable. I see a lot of faces I've met in the past, and it's just a very enjoyable time. As Gay mentioned, Dewey somehow got out of being the presenter this morning, and I got the lucky opportunity. So bear with me here, we'll go through this. Gay, I'm glad to hear, by the way, that we're not the only ones that throw the social media challenge. It's just not something that is natural for me to look at Facebook and know what I'm supposed to do when I see it, or how it's supposed to benefit my day-to-day activities. So it's something that the Sebastopol Entrepreneurs Project is struggling with as well. We're working on a new website. We'll talk about that a little bit further. I wanted to take the opportunity this morning to tell you about what SEP does, what we've accomplished over the time period that we've been around the area, and basically make a case for organizations like ourselves to help communities such as Sebastopol, small towns in West County, grow and develop new business opportunities. It's not an easy challenge, and we hope that we provide some valuable support. We'll talk a little bit about three of our clients specifically a little bit later on. Maybe you'll recognize some names. If not, we've got a whole list of companies and individuals that we've worked with over the last couple of years. What we want to talk about today, after that long introduction, is some things that are pretty obvious, but maybe give you a little bit of background information about why they're legitimate claims and why they're important to our community. First of all, small business matters. We'll talk about that a little bit further going on. Sebastopol Entrepreneurs Project, or SEP as we refer to ourselves. We've been in the area going on 4 years now. Gay gave a little background on the leadership organization. We were originally founded with a grant from redevelopment funds, if you guys vaguely remember that program that the state sponsored for a while. We were a fortunate recipient of that before the money went away, but that was a long time ago. So we want to talk a little bit about what we have done with that investment and how it has impacted the community. We're going to do that by sharing a couple of success stories. 2 of our clients, 3 of our clients actually. Dewey's going to talk to one that he's working with. And we're going to talk about how that has strengthened our local business community. And to reiterate Gay's comment, if anybody wants to volunteer to provide some energy or contribution in any other way to the SEP organization, please talk to one of us today or sometime in the future. Why small business matters? First of all, 43,000 businesses are started each month. Oh wait, I can't read that from the second. 543,000. That's 500,000 jobs basically are started, and they're started by small businesses. Small businesses generated over 65% of new jobs during the economic recovery. Small business, by the way, is defined by the state at least as under $2 million a year in revenues. So that is pretty small, even though over 50% of the working population, that's 120 million people, thousand people, are employed by small business, and 80% of the jobs created in Sonoma County, in our homes, our backyards, are companies with 5 or fewer employees. I'm sure all of us know who some of those people are and what some of those companies have done to contribute to our economy. Businesses, new businesses, small businesses particularly face challenges, but what we found is that they're also shared by existing businesses. Some of those are, and you'll recognize them immediately, too busy running your business to stay in touch with your customers. That sounds absurd, but it happens every day to small businesses. The burden of managing a small growing business is so intense that sometimes you don't allot enough time for what's really important, and that is staying in touch with your customers or your market. There's no real difference. A lot of small business people approach SEP and tell us they've got the greatest idea since sliced bread or whatever. And it's difficult sometimes to challenge them to define their value proposition. What makes them unique? What gives them why do they feel as though they have the right to pursue a business opportunity and be successful in that opportunity? That passion has to be obvious to the people that they do business with, the people that work for them. So we try to work with them to make sure they do that. And in order to do that, they have to effectively communicate that value proposition. Leadership, dysfunction at the top. We've all heard of stories of a founder of a business is passionate about starting a business, but he's a nightmare to work for. And part of running a business is ensuring the success of your employees. So leadership is a key element of that responsibility. Inability to create a profitable business model. We meet a lot of people who have never done a cost analysis about their wonderful idea. And so we have to work with them to understand why they will be profitable, assuming this idea is successful. As I mentioned earlier, both startups and existing businesses face the same challenges. When SEP first began our mission, we looked primarily at new business opportunities, entrepreneurs that were looking at startups. During the recession, it became very obvious that jobs saved were just as important as jobs created. If a business, in fact, maybe in some ways more so, because there was already a stable base for that business to operate on at one point in time, and the recession may have pulled a bit of the carpet out from under them. So we look at jobs saved and jobs created very similarly, and existing businesses, particularly small businesses, face a lot of the same challenges as startups. I talked a little bit earlier about the economic cycle. This is an endless cycle, unfortunately. We all love to think that left-hand box, the one labeled recession, never happens. But it does, and we all know it does. We probably lived through several of those economic cycles. When you're in recession, you're struggling to survive, you need basic services, and you need to reassess your core business, your core opportunity. Back to that value proposition statement. When we enter into a recovery state, which we're somewhere right now, hopefully at least, between recovery and revitalization, Sonoma County is benefiting from a relatively strong economy, as California is as well. There are a lot of areas in the U.S. that are not yet. Recovery, you're stabilizing your business model and you're gaining traction. You're looking at growth opportunities, which is something you haven't been able to afford to do during the recession part of the economic storm. Revitalization is what we all look forward to. When the opportunities are growing, market strategy, new product opportunities are emerging for your business, and basically things are moving along pretty well. You just have to get in front of it and ride that horse as long as you can ride it. SEP provides three basic services. We refer to it as the proverbial three-legged stool. We've been doing all three of these for basically the entire 4 years we've existed, or 3.5 years we've existed. We provide business advising. Several of us in the room here are business advisors for SEP, the people who come from SEP. Even Gay, in her current role as executive director, still maintains direct relationships with clients. Dewey will talk a little bit about more about his role. We've worked with about 40 clients over the past 3 years or so, when we started keeping accurate metrics of our activity. And at any point in time, we're typically working with about 12 clients, 12 companies. There may be multiple people involved in these companies. Another leg of the stool is our business education program. We like to think of the program as being monthly. It's not quite monthly, if in all honesty, but we provide free to the public, open to the public, business-related education seminars at O'Reilly Media, usually on the third Thursday of each month. I know several people in the room have been to those functions over the years. We've entertained audiences of about 500 people. We don't take an actual roll call at each meeting, but we average somewhere between 12 and 40 attendees, depending on the topic at hand. We try to send out an email to all of SEP's, everybody on SEP's email list, to notify them of those events. And like I said, we're looking for the opportunity to increase the frequency of those events. The other element of SEP that we sometimes don't know about or don't share effectively, again, we've had a very active campaign this year to increase awareness of it, but it's our co-work space. We're located in the basement of the Methodist Church, just across the intersection here. We have a little bit hair shy of 1,000 square feet, and in that space we offer co-work, very affordable co-work space, and we typically have that space available for about 8 to 10 clients. They rotate in and out. There's a conference room there. They can use the location as a business address if they don't want to receive business mail at their home and don't have an actual office yet. It offers high-speed internet, and it offers the opportunity to not be as isolated as you find yourself in a home office environment sometimes. A lot of our clients tell us that's one of the primary factors why they come to SEP for our co-work space. The other alternative, of course, is the coffee shop. And the coffee shops are beginning to send out a less than welcome vibe. If you sit there, over 1 cup of coffee for about 3 hours, our facility is perfect for that. You can run across the street to get a cup of coffee and sit there as long as you want to. So those are the 3 elements of SEP. I mentioned our business advisors. We've got about 12 business advisors at any one time. A lot of us, you'll notice, there are multiple hats next to the asterisk. Those people are also on the board of SEP. But we've got a broad array of talent in our business advisory pool. The way that works, if any of you are interested in becoming business advisors with SEP, is we try to line up new applicants based on their stated need, if you will. I need some help developing a business plan. I don't know how to assess my market opportunity. I have an intellectual property question. I don't know whether to patent my invention or to just produce it and sell it, go on from there. Any number of challenges that the applicants communicate to us in their initial application, we try to find what we call a lead advisor who will take on that client, sort of take them under arm, if you will, under wing, and help them to source the skill sets amongst the advisor pool that they may need. We call those folks, when they're acting in that capacity, resource advisors. Intellectual property is a perfect example of that. You may come to us, say, here's my idea, I need an intellectual property strategy. 2 or 3 work sessions probably are going to answer that need, whether to patent, whether not to. If you do decide to proceed with an intellectual property strategy, who your resources might be. in the community, that sort of thing. So we try to work with this combination of lead advisors and resource advisors to meet the developing needs of the client on an ongoing basis. There's room on that last page, by the way, for more names. In round numbers, we took the grant that was provided to us from the city of Sebastopol over the 3 years plus that we've been around. We've spent about $10,000 of that money. We still have some left, but we're using it on a regular basis. With that $10,000, the economic benefit, and this comes from the State Economic Development Board, they claim that every new job created in a community results in $49,500 of economic benefit. That's not just, that's things like rent, supplies, manufacturing revenues and expenses. All of the things that a business does to remain in business results in about $49,500 of economic benefit. Interestingly enough, we've decided to use the state number, but we had developed our own number by interviewing our clients at the end of 2 years, and we asked them to tell us confidentially, of course, everything we do with our clients at that level is confidential, but we asked them to tell us how much money they invested in their business and how many jobs they created. And when we did our metrics, when we did our own calculations with our set client feedback, we came up with $49,300 or something. But it was amazing how we felt as though we substantiated the state's number. Our clients, over the 2 years that we've been keeping accurate metrics of jobs created or saved, have claimed responsibility for 20 jobs. So you take 20 jobs at $50,000, that's $1 million in economic benefit. It's an astonishing return on investment. I don't know where you can get that kind of return for us. I told you that I'd share some information about a couple of our clients. One of our clients, Not Your Mama's Granola. I'm sure some of you are probably addicted to the stuff just like we are. It's, as I refer to it, it's simply the best granola money can buy, and it's been recognized as such at the Harvest Fair and other competitions. But Not Your Mama's is a client. They've been with us for about 2 years now, I think it is. They started up with 3 women who knew each other all their lives, raised their kids together, soccer moms, you name it, did all of that sort of thing. And all of a sudden, their kids all went off to college or went off to pursue their own lives. And they had, what do we do now type of look on their face. And their kids were calling them from college saying, Mom, can you send me some of that granola you guys are?" And so the dots got connected, and Not Your Mama's came into being. And when I say that it's simply the best granola product money can buy, all of Not Your Mama's flavors have won multiple gold and double gold medals at the Harvest Fair. And that's some pretty stiff competition. What we did for Not Your Mama's, first of all, these 3 women had a lot of passion and obviously had an excellent recipe for granola, but they knew not one iota about how to run a business. They didn't, as there's a quote here, one of them said to us that we introduced them to the wonders of modern business planning and accounting. A Herculean task. They didn't know what those terms meant when we first met them. So we provided them with a lot of guidance. We helped them. They were another example of not having a good handle on their costs, variable and fixed. They didn't know how to modify their cost structure to be more competitive or any of those things. So we helped them develop a cost analysis tool. We adopted strong visual brand. The granola aisle at a local grocery store is pretty crowded, and there's a new entry on it on a pretty regular basis. So eye-catching packaging that both drew the eye of the consumer as well as provided good product shelf life was critical to this. Their granola is unique in that it has honey in it, and honey attracts moisture. So if you don't have good packaging, you'll end up with a brick of promotion rather than this dry, crumbly stuff that you want. So we helped them with packaging. We also determined target markets, what their sales potential was, who the viable candidates to enter the market with were, who were the local leaders in that area. They have an integrated strategy now that differentiates their brand and reaches their target markets. To demonstrate their success, they're in over 26 retail outlets and web sales, but their sales are still primarily retail outlets. Basically, all of the stores that we're familiar with every day, West County area here, stock their product. They go as far away as Pacific Grove. They're looking at opportunities. They just attended the Gourmet Foods Fair in San Francisco and got a lot of attention from some major chains. So they're moving right along. Another one of our clients, you probably recognize this name, Bohemian Stoneworks. They're just down the street here a little ways. They produce very high quality specialty performance concrete cement products. You can see some of their products here, of course, countertops, amongst others. The founder of Bohemian Stoneworks, Patrick Miller, he's an avid hiker. He's always inspired by the art of nature, and decided to try to translate some of those observations into his product lines. He's also a very technical individual, so high performance, high strength concrete came second nature to him. He is able to make products and make formulations that none of his competitors can touch. But again, he had to figure out, he was in the depths of the recession. Residential construction was at a standstill almost. Commercial was very slow, and he had some real challenging times there for several years. We've worked with him to develop and implement a cost tracking tool. Again, since all of his products are custom made, he didn't know how to translate the labor cost from one custom designed product to another that may not look the same, may not have the same formulation, but a lot of the manufacturing steps are similar enough to translate that cost. So when Patrick was bidding a new job, it was too much guesswork. They weren't always profitable. And so we enabled him to use tools. In fact, the end result of that is his office manager now does about 3/4 of the estimating. Before that, that work was all on Patrick's shoulders. So that tool has been very effective for him. He's using that to provide an estimating tool to analyze new product opportunities and new market opportunities. So we're working with them on all of those things. And I mentioned it earlier, but the restructuring of responsibilities actually ended up enriching a lot of the jobs of his employees. And that's absolutely important to job retention and compensation. An example of some of his products, of course, like I said, countertops, very unique design, a lot of outdoor products. This right here is in the lower left-hand corner, is a meditation fountain, fireplace surrounds, you name it. He basically can take on any challenge that you or your architect come up with. Dewey, did you want to speak a little bit to Bailey's opportunity?
Well, one of the really nice things about being involved with SEP, and one of the reasons I got involved, I spent my lifetime working with small businesses, usually just typically on the legal side of it, getting them started and so forth. And the thing that was most enjoyable about working with small businesses was meeting the owners and seeing how they're coming along. And really that's been the excitement of SEP. The people I've met have been just totally delightful, and they're so, I mean, some of them are a little off the wall, of course, it's West County, and they don't, we don't necessarily end up going far. One woman came in, and after spending an hour with her, I said, do you want to make any money? Oh, no, I don't want to make any money. Well, probably we're not the right place for you. We're trying to create jobs. But I want to tell you one story. It's a wonderful, wonderful woman and her family and all that. And I think a lot of you may have even met her because she's been taking care of Louisa Fells, and some of you have been by Michael's house and have met Millie. She's this wonderful Fijian woman. And she came in with her husband to try to, she does caregiving, and she wanted to expand it because she has what many of us would want. You have all the product possible. She and her husband are very significant people in the Fijian community, and they know every Fijian. I mean, that's what Fijians in Sonoma County do. And she has access to them and wanted to start a company that would act as a service company, basically, with having clients and then being able to place these people, but she didn't have a clue about where to go. She's just this delightful person, and so I've been working with her over the last few months, and she'd have false starts and go and start and go and start, and it seems now she's at that point where she's beginning to realize, okay, I do need to take the next step. I need to develop a website. I need to kind of get into this world and try to make it happen. And so what I've basically been more just watching her along, explaining things. Now she's starting to get integrated in the other services that SEP has to offer, like marketing and website development and other things. And it's just a tremendous resource. And everybody who meets her just says, ah, she's so nice. And you know, that's the reward. That's the reward. And I find it with some of the other people too, that small businesses, they're getting started. Some of them are halfway there. Some of them are out of the, just completely nothing more than an idea. But it's really rewarding, and I just would encourage any of you who have worked with small business and on your own capacity, or may have taken, may have a business degree or something. It doesn't take a lot of time. It's tremendously rewarding, and you do see results, and then you see the product on the shelf, or you see a smiling face somewhere, or lots of thank you notes. Lots of people really appreciate what we do.
Thank you, Dewey. I just wanted to repeat some of the messages that I've mentioned in previous slides. Again, I think we're all convinced, a lot of us are parts of small business itself, but the U.S. and local economies are fueled by small business. Don't ever let anybody claim otherwise. We can share the statistics with you, but the vast majority of jobs are created in this country by companies with less than 5 employees, less than $2 million in sales. Small businesses face challenges every day that they exist, like Dewey's example of false starts. We're there, SEP is there, hopefully we try to be there to kind of pick up the pieces if there's a false start, and try to analyze what made a successful so you can repeat it. And we work with clients. Sometimes we have good news to share and celebrations. Sometimes the challenges are bigger than we've been able to address so far. But we work with clients over the long term and help them with those challenges. Our clients are local business owners. As Dewey mentioned again, some of us may know Millie or know somebody that she's providing care to. You go into Andy's or Pacific Market or any of the other local retailers, you'll find Not Your Mama's granola on the shelves. You'll find Rocket Fuel, another one of our clients. Our clients are indeed local business people, so everything that they generate comes back to the community. Your investment in SEP maximizes the impact on the local economy. Again, that ratio of turning a $10,000 investment into $1 million of economic impact, those are real dollars. You can't put your finger on the $1 million of economic impact, but I know it's there when a client goes off to have brochures printed up for a show, and they go to a local printer. When they rent a commercial kitchen to produce their product, those dollars are all going back into the local economy. They hire a co-packer to produce a food product or something. Those employees now have additional work that they would have had were it not for that SEP client. We need your help to make an even bigger impact on the community. We try very carefully to keep a good balance between the number of business advisors we have on the staff, on the team at any point in time, compared to the number of clients. We're able to achieve that so far, but there have been times where we've struggled a bit to keep up with the number of advisors that are necessary to support our clients. So any of you that are interested in that, have the skill sets that Dewey mentioned, we'd love to talk to you. With that, I think I'd like to take questions. Well, I guess I'm not making a pitch for Hunter. 1 second.
Just a quick question. How do you dovetail, or you guys work with SCORE, which is the chambers? You know, they got the retired executives that...
Yeah, no, I know the group well. And that's an interesting question. It comes up almost every time we make a presentation about SAP. The primary differentiation between us and SCORE, and by the way, SCORE refers a lot of clients to us. SEP being Sebastopol-based and being very much involved in the West County economy, works with clients that sometimes don't fit the model that SCORE professes very effectively. SCORE's process is fairly disciplined, and I'll use the word rigid even. We find that our clients are not often ready when they first approach us to go through the rigors of developing a business plan. If we give them a template for a business plan and say, come see me in 3 weeks when you've completed this, chances are very good we won't see them again. So they get scared off by the rigors of the process. Starting a business is not easy. Our challenge is to convince them that they need a business plan, first of all, and then to help them understand that there's ways of synergistically letting that business plan develop, and then bringing it all together when the time is right. Marketing is a great example. If you don't know what your target market potential is, how can you develop a business plan? So we help them with a market assessment, whereas SCORE takes an approach, like I said, a lot more rigorous. So that's the best way I can define the difference.
Thank you.
When you're doing your financial modeling, business planning for businesses, how do you approach employee compensation and employee benefits? It seems to me that one of the excuses that small businesses use over and over again is that they can't afford to pay living wage and they can't afford to pay health insurance for their employees. I've always maintained if you can't do that, then you don't have a viable business. And I wonder how you model that.
We encourage well-compensated jobs whenever possible. Businesses, particularly food processing, I guess a lot of our clients use part-time labor. You know, you just don't need full-time employees when you're first starting a business. And a lot of times they'll contract out that aspect of their business to what's called a co-packer in the food industry. We basically, like Bohemian Stoneworks was an excellent example. Those folks, their payroll is higher than it was when SEP started working with them. And they don't have a significant increase in headcount. Their employees were able to take on more responsibility as we define various elements of the job responsibilities. So it's not a direct answer because we can't influence, we can't say you have to pay 10% over minimum wage if you did the SEP plan. But we can encourage them to build a viable, profitable business that they can then afford to pay a good wage.
Thank you. Maybe you'll stay a little bit for some more questions. I appreciate it. I would ask you, please, well, first of all, this is a model of portfolio business. Problem by example, like this, very nice team. But every model goes with contributions to this is where that. And we also have what we call a war prize. So I think you should draw one of these tickets out of here and let's read the last 4 digits.
Okay. Last 4 digits. 1806.
That's me.
Yay!
Debbie.
I'm sure there's a nice.
Go Debbie, go Debbie, go Debbie, go Debbie, go Debbie, go Debbie.
Okay, so, you should draw one of these cards out. Please. And Marty still recovering from not drawing it last week. So. Back to playing, but these are two mini lights, Richard Boogie, divided to us. You'll enjoy that. So, I guess we need a joke. And that's game. There's a mic right here.
Okay, I'm really bad at jokes, so I got one from my 7-year-old granddaughter. Do you know why the toilet paper could not cross the road? It got caught in a crack.